If you found someone who'd never played Minecraft before and asked them to build a house, it would probably look something like this, and if you gave them creative mode, it'd probably be made out of diamonds or TNT. Ignoring the structural concerns of the TNT house, there is a stark contrast between that and someone who's played the game for a while who might tell you that a starter house looks something like this on the shabby end, and that's not me making a joke, that's literally what happens when you Google starter house Minecraft. So clearly there is a change in Minecraft, and it's not just because they've added new blocks and items, because most houses and creative builds have used roughly the same blocks throughout the years, and so it's instead important to switch gears and focus on how we, the community, have really changed Minecraft. And although some of those changes are for the best, what about the rest? That's the important thing to say, and let's go into it today. Because instead of saying all of that, I'd rather use the time to take a moment, please, to show you the first Minecraft house that I still have access to. This is from the Xbox 360 back in 2012, my first ever Xbox 360 world, and as you can see, after seeing all of the wooden shacks at the time, I thought I would do something different and build my house in the shape of a staircase. It has this lovely tree on top which is surrounded by note blocks for some reason, but the idea is here that I wanted to deviate from the norm, which very much was just using wood to make a basic square, and if you wanted to go really crazy, you'd use wood blocks for the corners and start putting glass everywhere, and so I kind of put my twist on that with a glass floor, a nether portal obviously access down there, and then a nice little door and some stone for this room over here. I think having these fun differences in how you build your house just adds some creativity to the world, but I'm not sure that everyone else agrees on that. I think a lot of people look at a blank canvas of a game like Minecraft and probably think to themselves they're not sure what they should do, and to be honest, we've all been in that situation, sitting there wondering how you should implement something into your Minecraft build, or what you should even build to begin with, which is where the idea of a community comes from. You get an idea from your friend who got the idea from social media, and that social media person got it from someone else in social media who got it from their friend to begin with. This big looping community means there is an evolution of builds that started with everyone working out together how to build the basics, which is just wood and putting some sand in a furnace to make glass, but this was so fancy at a certain point you could see out of the house from the inside. Then people moved on to realizing that actually real life houses have multiple floors and roofs that are fancy, and this is a real house for real builders. This was the fanciest thing you could build at a certain time, until you see someone who goes, wait a minute, no, you don't actually ever see houses in the real world like that, and to be honest, you never do, right? Everyone's house in the real world has some more personality to it, like this house here, which gives me serious vibes of a suburb with a garage coming off it, but it's made Minecrafty with plants everywhere and little window shutters, and honestly, it looks really great until you think, wow, you think that's a normal house? If you're gonna build your fantasies in Minecraft, build something modern, and so people have houses that look like this that don't even make any sense. Why would you want a pool in Minecraft? Why do you want sugarcane lining your dinner tables? None of this makes any sense, and the only part of it which you actually need in a house is entirely unprotected to begin with. But the reason that people love stuff like this, and it was so common like 5 years ago, is because you look at it and think, wow, that's a fancy house, and whoa, they did it in Minecraft, and more importantly, people use extreme shaders to make it look even better than that. But I think then there is the next step down, which has been happening over the last few years, of rejecting modernity and returning to actually enjoying making fun stuff built. Kind of, the modern house is one end of the tech tree. We kind of came back towards a more normal house, but now you're building normal houses from across history, and you get some really cool kind of vibes. By the way, this doesn't just apply to houses, because let's go into a bit of a blast from the past. In the earliest days of Minecraft, most people didn't really do much building. I mean, obviously you had to build a shelter, you had to survive and thrive, but once you got those things done, you were always just scraping towards the next objective as you learn more about the game. Anything which was outside of those was considered a mega build, and the first mega viral build that I ever remember seeing was this USS Enterprise, which got hundreds of thousands of views and was shared wildly everywhere, because realizing that Minecraft was not just a place you could make basic dirt structures, but also you could make a giant scale model of a spaceship was something a lot of people didn't truly grasp. But yeah, anything that was big and real world based would be really considered after a certain point a mega project, but this kind of evolved over time, I would say. Take Stampy for example, he's a friend of mine, but he's someone most people will know as being kind of one of the, for a certain generation of Minecraft player, he was like the YouTuber, right? And so most people know him for the Let's Play, but the thing that really actually grew him as a YouTuber in the early days of Minecraft console was showing off people's mega builds. Take for example example, this video, I think it has 50 million views of just touring a massive cruise ship, and this was something someone built by hand, admittedly after creative mode had come out, but still, someone had built this block by block on the Xbox 360 edition, and it's absolutely insane to look at. From, the fact that this is fully detailed on the interior, it's a real cruise ship that someone built because they thought to themselves, I would like to see what a cruise ship looks like, and rather than using a drawing tool, and rather than using any other 3D tool, they decided to use Minecraft, and there's something that just inspires people about this creativity that you can't just look at, although a lot of people chose to look at it in the form of videos, but you can actually look around. I mean, even if that involves going into the men's toilets. I mean, you know, sometimes I just think to myself, sure, wow, I sure would love to go into the men's bathroom, but in Minecraft. But the fact that you can have this level of detail, this, having to go through the creativity of the small details like taps into cauldrons, these small things are what people had to work out to make these builds. And as you see more and more of these, you pick up your own tips, like, oh, if you're gonna make men's and women's toilets, you gotta start to work out how you're gonna use cauldrons for sinks and how you're gonna have the various bathrooms. People work out these small building tips from each other, mostly from watching these mega projects. I actually want to show you something fun that I saw in the process of researching this video. It's a video of 8.8 million views from 2016, so about halfway through Minecraft's lifespan. But even in 2016, this was a popular enough mega build idea. It's just, I'm going to take something and I'm going to build entirely from scratch a house surrounded by walls and this castle feel that everyone aspires to when they play the game. I think this is something a lot of people miss with mega projects now. A lot of people assume that it has to be all about the craziest thing you've ever seen, something that no one has ever done before in Minecraft, but mostly people are building these houses, like I say, and it's just all about working out how you can do it with all of the challenges of survival. Because this is the one required build that Minecraft effectively tells you you need to make. I mean, technically speaking, you can go without even this, and I have many times, but Minecraft is saying if you want to survive and shelter yourself for the first night, you need a house. Every single person, when they tell you what you need to do in Minecraft, says that surviving that first night is the most important one, which is why the house is the one essential build that people have been remixing and changing since the beginning of time. But when it comes to what else people put their attention into, I think there is also a very interesting variety. Although this is a sandbox game where anything can be built by anyone, anytime, the truth is different trends do seem to come and go as to what you should build after you finished your house and all of the other essential structures. Indeed, these essential structures sometimes become part of it because just 4 years ago, it seemed so common to terraform mega parts of your world. If you had a mountain nearby, why not make it much bigger? If you had a relatively flat ground, why not make it perfectly flat? These are some of the really fun projects where you can make your world look more natural or significantly less so. I really like when people take Minecraft and turn it to the max. So a really popular trend a few years ago, 3 years ago to be precise, was this, for example, Desert Temple at 3:1 scale. But people making existing Minecraft things, but massive, is a trend I really enjoy personally, but it's technically not as useful as something that happened closer to 3 years ago because the idea of unique nether portals started to come up. So what about a nether portal, but it's inside of a sword? What about a nether portal that has a sword going through it on one end, and then you build the other end into the other side? Technically, this is a thing that only really works in screenshot unless you line up the nether portals perfectly, but I love the way of taking advantage of your nether portals and using it to do really unique things. Technically, custom nether portals have been possible since 1.7, but people seem to truly start mastering them years later. This seems to be true for almost every Minecraft feature, where as soon as people, see them originally, it has one use, and then later it becomes something else. And a great example of this would be the idea of city building or building things from the real world. This has always had some level of popularity, but a couple of years ago, something really weird happened. People started building these a lot more commonly. Did anything start happening a few years ago that would have maybe caused cities or the, like famous tourist attractions like the Statue of Liberty? Did anything start to cause these to become more common? Side note, I think this city really reminds me of The Last of Us with its fallen skyscraper, but people started building places from the real world and going back to that realistic vibe. It's very interesting to see that people really enjoyed functional Minecraft builds for a bit and then went by directly the opposite way, because as much as I enjoy looking at this, it's something you'd only really want in creative. As much as I enjoy looking at this, it has to be said that everyone had the idea of doing a Statue of Liberty just so you could see it age and, learn the, the important fact that the Statue of Liberty, it's green in real life, but it's actually started orange because copper tends to age that way. It's really interesting how these, kind of memes become big in the Minecraft world, how people have the same ideas, and sometimes this happens for commercial reasons too. It has to be said that the idea of building a giant overworld in your nether is something that has been seen time and time again on YouTube. Seriously, play. I get, certain YouTube videos recommended to me, and it's always someone who's done like one of these 100-hour Minecraft videos where it's just the same project idea of I gathered every blank in Minecraft, and after gathering every mob, the obvious idea that everyone has is gathering every single biome, and it's a really interesting one until you realize that, yeah, this is a idea that works because it's unique, and it works because you have to go to every biome, but it doesn't necessarily scale well with effort. I think some of these builds age poorly, just like how when giant nether portals became a thing, you might see builds that look like this, that are just being as grand and magnificent as possible, yet people actually enjoy the smaller scale, just, burying it into the side of a mountain just as much, if not more in some cases. Isn't that crazy that it's true that in Minecraft there are building techniques that always scale up to the largest, yet almost always seem to have their most success when they're done on a more human scale? This is an important thing to remember when we're talking about the biggest mega projects and stuff like that, is that although it might seem like the only way to make your dent in Minecraft is to do one of these insane things, I think this starter base with just a simple tree, a few blocks of moss, and a lovely carved out face is so much more appreciable than an insane mega city that might have taken hundreds of hours. Working on your mega, builds can be something you can do, but ultimately the thing that actually makes your Minecraft world unique is the tapestry that comes from all of these small things together. And so rather than thinking the only way to make your dent is to do something ridiculously large, I think it's worth realizing the community is always changing as ideas pass from person to person in something that you can compare to a video game meta. This evolution of the community's standards as well as desires is something that makes one of the most interesting video game metas out there, because a meta is something many games have, especially multiplayer ones, that allow people to pick, say, the best weapon in a shooter game, and so everyone can use that most effective gun. Or it can allow them to do the most skilled method of leveling up your experience in RuneScape, or even just making the best farm and most effective way to play Stardew Valley. Every game has a best way to play that the community slowly picks apart on, and this is how fan bases form, is on talking about the best or the worst or the most interesting ways to do things. And although Minecraft does have a standard meta which kind of matches up with these other games, for example, there is always the debate about, is a water bucket worth carrying? It is, it's incredible. There is always talk about, should you have sharpness on your sword or smite? Smite is better for single player, sharpness is better for multiplayer. What about protection versus projectile protection? If you're getting shot a lot, projectile protection slightly better, but for everything else there's regular protection. Every single micro part of Minecraft does get picked apart in the normal way, but the thing that shapes it more than any of this is the building meta. This is something fun that never could have happened if Minecraft didn't become the huge success it was, because if you play Minecraft by yourself, and indeed if you look at the very first Minecraft builds from the original TigSauce forum thread in 2009, most people are building basically the same things. They're just ugly cobblestone builds. The idea of why don't I mix up the block palettes isn't something you will think about for a while, and maybe once you do that you might make some big square buildings with multiple blocks, but then working out you've got to make different shapes and frames, and you've got to start mixing together various palettes in different ways. These are the sorts of things that advanced builders take for granted right now. Using different small blocks to have different texture barriers, or using buttons as pebbles. It's something I hate, but it's something that is unanimous. These are the sorts of things that happen all over the building meta, and unlike in other metas for video games, there isn't this clear standard of this is accepted as the best. There isn't a gun with the lowest recoil. There isn't an XP method which gets you objectively the most experience per hour, but instead there are just different building styles, which is what makes it so beautiful to play Minecraft with your friends. If you've ever jumped on a multiplayer server with people who don't think exactly the same as you get up to some very different builds. I remember being on a server where someone made a giant mansion at one point, and I just made a little cat scratching post as my house. But the fact that you can have these stark contrasts between two people who love the same game and maybe play it a whole bunch is one of the things that makes Minecraft so beautiful, in my opinion. The fact even that people can go into higher and higher effort developments of the same idea, making a mansion that turns into a mansion-sized castle, that turns into a world-sized castle, and then it will always come back down to someone taking things back to simple and making just a beautiful small build. This is something that brings me real hope as someone who enjoys Minecraft. There isn't always going to be this perpetual cycle of you need to spend 30 hours, 40 hours, 50 hours, 100 hours on building something for anyone to care. You can build absolutely anything you dare, and just like art, although most of it is terrible and most people people won't care, there is always going to be a way for there to be stuff that rises to the top. And this is something that I just find to be absolutely beautiful. And so the Minecraft meta is the thing that ultimately is shaping the game more than we as individuals or even Mojang as developers ever could. Even if the Minecraft development team went away today, Microsoft went bankrupt in the surprise of the century and no one can update Minecraft, there would still be not only a whole community of people working on the mod side and texture pack sides, and even people finding out new little tidbits about the game, that always happens, but also the building styles and what people have made with it will still progress. This is what Minecraft means when they say that it's a 50-year or a 100-year or a 30-year game. It is a game that can exist in perpetuity as long as they do the right thing and keep it supported, but even without that support, we as a community will still change it every single day. And so I think it's a useful reminder that next time you think Minecraft has changed so much, it might be easy to pin it on the one really unfamiliar feature in your world, but the truth is the basic building mechanics of the game in survival or indeed in creative have remained roughly the same for all these years. They might add more blocks and more options for your creativity, but the underlying point is that you are still the one deciding what's in your world. If you think Minecraft's gotten stale, maybe that means that your building style has gone stale. Maybe you don't know what you should be building because, like I say, most people kind of get bored after building their first house, in which case maybe you'd find it interesting to check out one of my building idea videos. It's something I love to do, is to inspire people to get back into Minecraft, and so I'll link one of my favorites down in the comments and also in the description, wherever you want to watch it. And either way, I do want to say one last thing, which is that Minecraft is a beautiful, ever-changing game, and every day you log in, you are ensuring that it won't be the same, and that is something we as the community have done to it. That is how Minecraft will never be the same as it was when you first played, but ultimately it doesn't need to be, and it's great that it has decided to not stay. With that said, I hope you all enjoyed this blast from the past and the Minecraft nostalgia that came with it, and I hope that you remember that the next time you play Minecraft, and indeed the next video you see on this channel, will be of a slightly different game, and that's absolutely great because you don't want it to stay the same. It is an ever-evolving piece of art, and that is something I find real smart. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.